our next topic of stupid culture war issues that conservatives are pushing to distract you, let's talk about the new holiday that people are somehow mad about,
That's
Indigenous
r-
Peoples Day.
that's right. We have a new holiday, and everybody, Indigenous Peoples Day. And guess who's mad about it?
Conservatives.
Yeah, like I don't know why they all fall in line for this. So the last time I've cared about Columbus Day was in second grade. Literally, aside from that, I have never even considered Columbus Day other than, oh no, the bank is closed.
Okay,
Like,
you didn't care about the bank in second grade.
no, I mean like now.
Oh yeah,
Like I'm talking about from then onward, when have I ever cared? Like, oh no,
yeah,
the bank is now closed. I can't cash my paycheck.
yeah. The
Like,
only reason I was excited for Columbus Day as a kid was no school. I could care less about Christopher Columbus, especially upon learning that Christopher Columbus is a genocidal, racist, sexist, misogynistic rapist that is also really stupid. And not stupid in the sense that like he thought the earth was flat. No, no one believed that back then at that period in time. He was stupid in the sense that he wasn't a good explorer.
yeah, like like one myth that circulates is that like even though like we've got these like early, I believe, romantic um, philosophers that were trying to figure out if the Earth was flat, and then which was like back in BC. But now that we're in AD, come 1492, and these things come out like he thought that the Earth was flat.
Yeah, no. Or that he was one of the only people that thought the earth was round. No, the earth being round was a known fact for amongst educated populations, and probably even amongst the peasantry, for about hundreds of years by that point.
Yeah, though we should discuss Christopher Columbus as a figure
Yeah,
because people are saying like, oh, he's this figure that we need to remember, and
he's
no,
not. Like, he's deified as he's considered one of the first heroes of the American creation myth. Like, it's in 1490, like we have like
that
nursery rhymes. In 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Like, he's deified because he is considered the founder of what would become the United States, and thus, as part of our creation myth, he has to be some noble, like, heroic type figure. When the reality of the situation is, he is a genocidal rapist that even back then, by their standards, was considered extreme. I mean, he had to be reined in by the Spanish monarchy because they were like, "What are you doing? What is wrong with you? Why are you doing this?
because
Why are you like this?"
because he pretty much invaded native territory and then when he didn't get what he wanted brought over native americans over and just
Yeah.
I think correct me if I'm wrong on this but I'm pretty sure it like catalyzed the transatlantic slave trade.
He was definitely one of the first arbitrators of it, that's for sure. And I mean, also, he wasn't a good sailor. Like, it's a known fact that on his one of his many expeditions from Europe to the Americas, he nearly got mutinied because people were like, "I don't think this man knows where we're going. He's gonna get us killed. We got to take over the ship and go back home before we all die."
Yeah,
Like, he wasn't considered some type of like great person. Even back then, he was considered a bit of a, to be blunt, a fucked up loser.
yeah, considering all the facts and the history that we're talking about, what percentage of republicans as a whole do you think even know about any of this?
I mean, given the current state of American education, I would say a lot of them don't know anything beyond Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue and just Christopher Columbus in 1492 sailed the ocean blue or whatever the fuck it's called. They probably only know that and that he found America. They may even think that, oh, he probably wasn't the first person to find America, but I mean, they don't think of any of the horrific things that he's done.
Because overall, like to transition into the discourse that's happening now, everyone fell in line. Like I even had people in my personal life tell me like Happy Columbus Day, and I'm like, what are you doing?
It's like
What are you doing?
It's like, listen, bro. Like, and the other thing about it is that we deify Christopher Columbus. He wasn't even the first European to come to the Americas. That would be someone like Leif Erikson, who Funnily enough, when conservatives talk about like the greatness of their genealogy and their lineage, they talk about the Vikings, but coincidentally don't bring up the Vikings as the people that actually probably found this place first in terms of Europeans finding this place, as there was already a population here.
Yeah, yeah.
And so people are complaining that Columbus Day is being renamed to Indigenous Peoples Day, or
And
not even renamed.
not even renamed. Like, I've even heard, like, oh, because Biden proclaimed Indigenous Peoples Day to replace Christopher Columbus Day, that it's destroying American culture and history.
It's like the same people that argue about the Confederate statues. That, oh, they're destroying history. It's like, you want to know what really is destroying history? If books were burned, libraries and museums were just suddenly destroyed.
Because what they don't realize is that, like, holidays and statues don't keep history,
Yeah,
they deify it.
exactly. I mean, let's be honest here. On Columbus Day, do you actually think about Christopher Columbus? Really, like, honestly think about it. When you hear Columbus Day, do you sit there and do you reminisce about the time you learned about Christopher Columbus in first grade? No, you don't. You probably go about your day because he's about as relevant to Americans now as he was to Americans when they first created the holiday Columbus Day.
Yeah.
He's wholly irrelevant. Like, he was around in the 14 and 1500s. We're in the 2000s. Over 500 years later. No one cares.
And also to emphasize that fact, like, going back to what we were talking about with the Superman segment, like, the discourse is dead. Like, we only have, like, the left talking about how much the right freaked out, and that's it.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
right is not talking about this anymore.
yeah,
Because
it's been
they,
like 48 hours.
because, let's be honest here, they don't care. They only cared for, like, one day just because it was something to get mad at the left.
Yeah, it's another culture war issue that the right pushes to just drive division. And it's stupid because it's not relevant. And to anyone that's listening that feels that these things are important, that Christopher Columbus Day should be maintained, and that things are going too far, I want you to honestly and wholeheartedly think about this. Why is it that you always are told about things that get you angry in this world, and they're always about things that are like social? They're not actually about the material conditions of your life. No one talks about trying to, like, when you listen to Tucker Carlson, he doesn't talk to you about why your current working conditions are bad, why the Amazon warehouse is really just grinding you to the bone. He doesn't talk about that. He doesn't talk about how you've been disenfranchised in a lot of your time when you're voting due to gerrymandering or due to redlining or due to just your voting rights being stripped right under your nose. Like the idea of the fact that maybe you couldn't go vote in your state election because you had work, because election day isn't considered a federal holiday. Why doesn't anyone talk about that? Why doesn't anyone talk about how your health insurance for an accident that you received that wasn't your fault weasels its way out of covering you?
Yeah. And
No one talks about that, but they're ready to talk about Superman? Christopher Columbus? Things that are irrelevant and have no actual meaningful material effects on our day-to-day lives? Why is it that they screech at the top of their lungs about that, but not about any real issues? The answer is because they want you to be angry at something that is irrelevant because it distracts you from the real issues in your life. I mean, if they really cared about the real issues in your life, we wouldn't talk about Superman being bisexual because Superman is a fictional character. We wouldn't talk about Christopher Columbus Day and how Christopher Columbus needs to be preserved because Christopher Columbus has been dead for half a century.
Overall, this is just a symptom of the left trying to fix something that is, like, that we view as wrong and we need fixed. And the fact that Biden acknowledged, like, Indigenous Peoples Day is a step in the right direction. And then the right comes in and completely tries to counteract it just for a day, and then it dissipates.
I wouldn't even say it's the left trying to fix something. This is just a normal progression of things. Like, I don't think this is some radical leftist idea of changing the Christopher Columbus Day. I think it's just a normal thing that, like, it's just a progression of things. As thankfully, due to the proliferation of the internet, people have learned about Christopher Columbus's true nature. That I think it's at this point somewhat common knowledge among some like regular people that Christopher Columbus wasn't all that.
Now that you put it like that, like yeah, like nobody really on the left was like pushing for this to happen. Biden just did a good thing, and we praised him for it.
Yeah, it's like that discourse last year around Juneteenth. Juneteenth had been a holiday in the South for
Was it
years.
even? I think it was this year, right?
It was this year and last year
Oh, right,
because of Trump's rally during Juneteenth that eventually killed Ben Carson.
oh, don't get me started on that one. I hate that rally so much because I have vivid memories of that rally.
Yeah, but
Uh,
yeah, anyways, like, it's like Juneteenth. No one talks about Juneteenth anymore. It's a day that is dedicated to the ending of slavery.
well,
Not just the end of slavery, like as in, oh, the end of slavery in America. No, it's actually just specific to the ending of slavery around Texas, as Texas was resilient towards ending slavery.
yeah. Overall, we're happy that Biden officially recognized that Indigenous Peoples Day as an official holiday, and the fact that conservatives have complained about this for a literal day is extremely funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just stupid culture war stuff that honestly isn't relevant and it's not worth getting mad about. You should really, whenever someone brings these topics up to you as something that you should be mad about, question them. Question why you should be mad about Christopher Columbus no longer getting acknowledged in a holiday. Question why someone tells you about bisexual Superman and how it's the death of Western society. Really question those people. Really question because it's not relevant.
Yeah. I do want to bring up an example because I do want to see you
Yeah.
tackle this in that perspective. So I was peering over a relative's shoulder watching Fox News, and there was Tucker Carlson talking about, you know, your children are probably talking about they can't afford housing, and like it's a problem, and they whine about it all the time. And you probably acknowledge this. Like, isn't it like they talk about this a lot? Isn't this a fact that we all can acknowledge? And then he goes on and talks, and then is like, the ultimate like finisher to that argument is, know what it is? It's the immigrants coming in and taking your children's potential housing. And I'm like, we're over here, and then we've completely jumped the shark over there.
I mean, that's not surprising. Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist. He is a white supremacist. He has been acknowledged by neo-Nazi factions and white supremacist factions as being invaluable to their movements as a radicalizing factor. So it does not surprise me that Tucker Carlson will take something like a housing issue and turn it into something to galvanize white white rage.
Yeah. And so that's why I bring that up, is I want to bring up like, why do they say the things they do? It's to drive discourse.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, the immigrants are taking your houses. Like, if you really sit down and think about any of the immigrant discourse that conservative posits around, you'd realize that it's very inconsistent.
And here's the thing. He's addressing like an issue that millennial liberals have. What millennial liberal is going to be convinced by his argument? No, this is a topic that was concentrated solely on those people's parents.
Yeah, he focuses specifically on disenfranchised, disengaged white people that are coming under hard times due to the crushing reality that is late stage capitalism. And he's trying to just funnel their anger into non productive and destructive social issues. I mean, it's why he's a phony populist. He uses populist rhetoric to galvanize people for the wrong reasons. I mean, he talks about the housing issue, but he's only using it as a pivot to complain about brown people.
Yeah.
Like, it's like whenever someone does a pivot like that to blame an entire swath of people, you should really, really question it. And yeah, and some may say, oh, but you complained about conservatives earlier. The difference being is that being a conservative is a choice. It is not something inherent to you, but being whatever ethnic group you're a part of is not something you had a choice in. You did not consciously decide the color of your skin when you were born. You did not consciously decide where on the planet you would be born at. Being a conservative, though, is a conscious decision. And so when someone makes a generalization about someone that's describing to an ideology, it's much easier because you can look at the tenets of an ideology, and if someone agrees with it, it's reasonable to assume they agree with X, Y, and Z, as that runs parallel or is like, in agreement with what they usually believe in.
Right, right.
So either way,
Yeah.
moral of the story, fuck Tucker Carlson, fuck conservatives, and fuck this entire culture war bullshit.
Yeah. All right.